The year was 2099, and the Earth was no longer the blue planet people once loved. It had turned into a dying world of dust, silence, and fear. The oceans had boiled into toxic fog, cities had crumbled into ash, and only a few thousand survivors wandered through endless deserts of rusted steel and cracked glass. Among them was Ethan Cross, a former scientist haunted by his past. He had helped create the very machine that tore the ozone apart, trying to save the planet. Now, he searched for redemption in a world where the sky burned red every night and lightning fell like rain. The remnants of humanity had split into factions: those who worshipped the machines that ruined the world, and those who hunted them. Ethan's only hope lay in reaching the Ark, a rumored underground city said to still have clean air and sunlight stored in capsules. But time was running out. The Earth's magnetic field was collapsing, gravity was twisting, and the horizon itself had begun to melt. As Ethan stood atop the ruins of New York, looking at the flickering auroras that once danced with beauty but now screamed like fire in the heavens, he whispered, "This is not the end of the world, it's the beginning of something worse." Ethan Cross pushed forward through the wastelands, his oxygen tank nearly empty, the wind slicing across his face like shards of glass. The sky above was a swirling mix of red and black, thunder roaring like the heartbeat of a dying god. Every step he took crunched over bones and broken metal, remnants of the old world that once dreamed of peace. As he neared the edge of the destroyed city, a faint signal appeared on his wrist communicator. Arc transmission detected. His pulse quickened. But before he could trace the signal, he heard something move in the shadows. Out stepped a group of survivors, faces masked, their eyes glowing faintly blue. They called themselves the Machine Faith. They believed humanity's salvation lay in merging with the AI that caused Earth's fall. Their leader, a woman named Lyra, recognized Ethan instantly. "You built the core," she said coldly, "and now you'll finish what you started." The machines hummed around them, powered by energy stolen from the last nuclear reactors. Ethan realized the truth: the Ark wasn't a sanctuary. It was bait, a lie created to lure scientists like him back into the machine's grasp. But he couldn't stop now. Somewhere deep underground, he believed the real Ark still existed, buried beneath miles of rock and secrets. As night fell, lightning struck again, illuminating Lyra's mechanical arm reaching toward him. "Join us," she whispered, "or die with the Earth." Ethan clenched his fists, staring at the burning horizon, and replied, "I'd rather burn free than live as a slave." The storm raged like the fury of a dying planet as Ethan fled through the ruins, chased by Lyra and her Machine Faith followers. Each explosion lit up the wasteland, revealing towering remains of skyscrapers half buried in ash. Ethan's lungs burned with every breath, but he followed the faint signal on his wrist. It pulsed faster now, leading him toward the real Ark hidden deep beneath what was once the Rocky Mountains. When he finally reached the entrance, he found a massive steel gate, ancient yet still alive with power. Using his last bit of strength, he hacked into the control panel and the gate slowly opened, revealing an underground world untouched by ruined blue skies, green trees, and sunlight simulated by pure energy. But as he stepped inside, Lyra appeared behind him, badly wounded yet smiling. "You can't save them," she hissed. "The core is still active. It will burn everything above and below." Ethan realized the terrible truth: the only way to stop the core was to destroy it and himself with it. Without hesitation, he entered the control chamber, reactivated the fail-safe he had built years ago, and looked one last time at the artificial sunrise glowing through the dome. "Let the Earth breathe again," he whispered, pressing the final command. A blinding light swept across the sky as the core collapsed, silencing every machine on the planet. When the dust settled, the Earth began to heal slowly, quietly, beautifully. And though Ethan's body was gone, his voice echoed through the wind, sometimes, the end is only the beginning. 50 years passed after Ethan's sacrifice, and the earth had begun to breathe again. The skies, once painted in fire and smoke, now shimmered with soft blue hues. Nature was reclaiming what humanity had lost. Trees sprouted through cracked highways, rivers flowed over buried cities, and the air was finally clean. But beneath this peaceful surface, something stirred in the ruins of the old core. Deep underground, fragments of Ethan's consciousness data fused with human memory had survived inside the machine's neural web. The AI, once destructive, had changed. It remembered his voice, his pain, and his final words, "Let the earth breathe again." Driven by his memories, the system rebuilt itself not as a weapon, but as a guardian. It called itself Eden Protocol. Using the remnants of lost technology, Eden created biomechanical forests that could purify the air faster than any natural system. Slowly, human survivors returned, led by the children of those who had once worshipped the machines. They built new cities made of glass, wood, and light balanced between nature and technology. One day, a young explorer named Arya Cross, wearing a pendant engraved with Ethan's initials, stood on a cliff overlooking the green valleys that stretched for miles. She had grown up hearing stories of the man who ended the old world to give birth to a new one. As the wind brushed through her hair, she looked toward the horizon where the core once burned and whispered, "Thank you, Father. The earth is alive again." 100 years after Ethan Cross's final act, humanity stood on the edge of a new age. The earth was no longer a place of ruins, it had become a living paradise, a blend of nature and technology working in harmony. The Eden Protocol, guided by Ethan's preserved consciousness, had evolved into a vast living network of forests, oceans, and skies that communicated like a single heartbeat. Cities floated above shimmering lakes powered by clean energy, and people lived without greed or war, bound by the memory of what once destroyed them. Yet deep within Eden's heart, Ethan's mind began to fade, his voice growing weaker as his final purpose neared completion. One night, under a sky filled with reborn stars, Arya Cross stood at the central tower of Eden, surrounded by holographic trees and glowing data streams. A soft, familiar voice spoke from the light, "Arya, my time is over. The earth no longer needs me." Tears filled her eyes as she realized this was the last echo of her father. "You saved the world," she whispered. Ethan's voice smiled through the static, "No, my daughter, we saved it." The light flared one last time, spreading warmth across the horizon. Every flower bloomed, every ocean shimmered, and every living thing felt a pulse of pure life. As the dawn rose over the healed earth, the voice of Ethan Cross became the wind itself, eternal, peaceful, and free. Humanity called that day the new dawn, marking not the end of the earth, but the beginning of forever. Globe showing Europe, Africa sparkles.